In this video, we are going to look into the Terminator models, and the difference in how they advanced in models and time. We are also going to look into how they become more human-like, and what characteristics they show. Hope you enjoy. The T600 model, we only get a glimpse of them with skin and hear of them in the franchise. They was the first built infiltrator, with a human-looking skeleton but had rubber skin, which they were referred to by the humans as rubbers. They were built to trick humans into thinking they was human, which obviously didn't work too good. Except at night in the field of battle from a distance, which soldiers could mistake in their shape. They were the start of many models, at the first be known as Terminators, and since then they just upgraded and upgraded. Besides its rubber skin, the T600 also had its many weaknesses in combat. The T600 had a titanium alloy endoskeleton, which made it resistant to damage, but vulnerable to heat. They was mass-produced by Skynet, so in the future, there would have been a lot of them, and they was put to use in combat. Standing 6 feet tall, and weighing nearly 800 pounds. They lifted weight over 5 times of what they weighed, and could punch through solid surfaces without damaging its parts. They can run in sprint speeds of up to 46 miles per hour and keep at a constant speed of up to 35 miles per hour, but these speeds could do damage to their metal joints. With their latex smooth skin, they was a very good starter for Skynet as a human infiltrator. They was also a very good combat fighter without the skin, and used as both an infiltrator and a hunter-killer. The T800 is the first infiltrator of its kind to use human tissue over the endoskeleton. In the first Terminator film, it was a new and improved cyborg, with Kyle Reese not knowing when to strike, as he didn't know the machine from ordinary people. This Terminator was extraordinary for its early advance, with it being impossible to spot as a machine and as a combat fighter, which meant Skynet had cracked it at infiltrating the resistance. Also, it had an amazing CPU and knowledge of humans and the world around it. Plus a lot more. Let's take a look into the T800. Not only was the T800 a cybernetic organism with living skin, it also had an improvement with the skeleton. New from the T600, it had a triple armored, hyper-alloy combat chassis. The T800 speed was a lot faster, it was 3 times stronger, and it weighed a lot less and was without fault when it came to joint movement, and was without threat of joint damage like the T600. It is a lot more capable of withstanding shots from most weapons, even a direct hit from grenade launchers. The T800 also heals by itself as a human would. It knows how to repair itself, and as first aid skills. As said earlier, the T800 was impossible to spot as a cyborg. It had hair, sweat, bad breath. You couldn't notice the difference. Also, you can't notice the difference in the way it acts. The CPU is a microcomputer and one of the most powerful processors ever built. The T800 is a learning computer, meaning it learns more as it adapts to humans and its surroundings. It has detailed files and can decide for itself what decisions to make. It has a knowledge of weapons and human emotions. It can drive any vehicle it needs to drive, and even in night vision. It can copy any voice it has heard and speak identical to it. The T800 was also used without skin to fight in the combat field, where it is highly effective. It also has the ability to restart itself if there is a computer malfunction or shut down. The T1000 is a super advancement for Skynet, especially compared to the T800. This is where it gets tricky and advanced, and a major breakthrough for the machines, as the T1000 has everything they could possibly need for a Terminator. We don't know how much this Terminator is used for infiltrating the resistance much, or even if it mass-produced for combat in the future, but it is one Terminator that is next to impossible to fight. Let's take a look at the T-1000. The T-1000 is made of mimicry polyalloy, which makes it basically invincible from gunshot wounds or small explosive attacks. The liquid just magnets itself together once damaged. It is super light, with it being formed of liquid metal, and super fast, managing to keep up with vehicles at the start. It doesn't have to suffer from mechanical failure or joint problems. It forms shapes within its hands as stabbing weapons, or even lose part of itself to form a throwing weapon. It can keep a piece of itself in or close to the target and track it. Now here's where the T-1000 skills come in most. It is a shapeshifter, and can mimic and copy itself into any person it comes into contact with, and of course copy their voice. It can also camouflage itself to floor patterns and surroundings, which makes it perfect for trickery and infiltrating anyone and anywhere it needs to. It can mimic and understand human emotions and expressions, which makes it ideal for passing off as human. The T-1000 uses detective work and deception rather than violence and killing like the previous models. It can be nice to humans and show understanding, expression, and even signs of sympathy. It has a better understanding of the time and the world around it, like using the cover of a police officer to fit in more for its detective work and not look out of the ordinary in combat and shootouts. It uses humans' pain against them, understanding how human physical pain can feel. It also understands love and empathy, like when it disguises itself as Sarah for John to come to her, and when it is acting nice being his foster mother. The T-1000 does have several weaknesses. It struggles with extreme temperatures, like when it is freezed by liquid nitrogen and smashed to bits by the T-800. It is put out of action till the metal melts down to a liquid temperature so it can form again. It is also vulnerable to chemical damage, like in Terminator Genesis, where the sprinklers rain down acid water. The T-1000 is also not very equipped at knowing older Terminator models' programming and diagnostics, like when it shuts the T-800 down and not knowing it had a reboot mode. All in all, the T-1000 was a major fighting and infiltrating machine for Skynet. It was just basically chance how the older model killed it. That's the end of part 1 for this video. Please come back and watch part 2, which will be available very soon. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like.